This is Lauren.
This is Trey.
And this
is the Partnership Podcast.
This week's episode, talking to your teens about sex, especially when, unbeknownst to you, they walk into your bedroom while you're having it. Enjoy.
That sounds very uncomfy.
It's pretty comfy.
Honey, this is the perfect segue into the topic that I want to discuss.
We're editing that out. Go ahead. Good morning.
Trey was away for a little while, and we've talked about this before. This is not the topic that I actually want to talk about. But when you go away, it creates distance between us. It creates separation between us. And then my desire for you, bing, through the roof.
Mm-hmm. It's like ovulation.
It is.
It's like when you're
and
ovulating.
I'm about to start menstruating. This is not the time that I should be wanting you.
Sure.
And it's just so beautiful. And I like to tell people this all the time, but it's really great to feel it in my own body, that these tools that we truly can harness, which is be apart from one another, are really fabulous.
The space to miss one another is so underrated when it comes to dating, when it comes to long-term relationships, anything.
You used to always say it. And
that's what I was taught.
Yeah, and now I know the science behind it.
Especially in dating and courting, you have to give, and it's like days where it's like you have to give the other person space to miss you. A lot of times in dating courting, when someone finds somebody that they really, really like, it's like, it's a lot. And it can become a lot, and you want just a little bit of distance.
Well, and I think we could put it into simple terms. When you are really attracted to something or someone, you want to be really near it. You want to consume it. You want to know all about it. It's you doing deep dives on the Blake Lively, Justin Baldoni case. That is human nature, to want to consume, take in all of that type of stuff. And it's perfectly normal and wonderful. I will also say it is like a hormonal cocktail. It's just part of that drive to be nearer and nearer to each other is fabulous. It's great. And yes, Trey's exactly right. Resisting that sometimes can be so lovely and healthy, to remember one's own center, to remember that it is not another person's job to be our everything, can be really great in early dating and courtship.
What do you miss when we're apart? What'd you miss this time specifically?
You know, first it was really good because it always puts me back in my own capabilities. I usually feel like really proud of myself in the very beginning, like, oh, I'm not 100% codependent on this sexy man in my house. So at first, it puts me back in my agency, which is also healthy for attraction. When we infantilize a partner that they can't do anything without us, that they need us so badly, and you and I have talked about this, the princess in the tower type of idea, it doesn't actually enhance sexual attraction. And so it is this conundrum. Esther Perel says that caretaking is the greatest anti-aphrodisiac. So the moment you stop caring for me and I have to start caring for myself, it's actually a turn on. So at first I didn't miss you at all. At first I had giant client days. You were gone during my work day. So I was just doing my thing, feeding my body well, remembering that I know how to do my thing. And then all of a sudden, I start to get like curmudgeon-y about like going to bed. Like I actually really like sleeping next to you. We talk about our human design on here all the time, but I'm a generator in human design. Trey is a projector, and he is like my grounding mat. Literally his body makes me go zoom. And I miss it when you're gone. I literally sleep more poorly, which is hilarious. I'll also stay up later. You tell me. Yeah. So then I start to miss smells. Then it gets like really primal. I start to miss your smells. I start to miss your sounds throughout the house. I start to miss, just like your company. You're just really good company. And then I usually, hopefully, start to get like really horny too. Like not hopefully, just traditionally start to get hornier. And if I don't, totally fine. Totally fine. But I did. And it was really neat because your trip this time coincided with almost my work week. Like you were gone during my busiest days and then you were coming home. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Did you miss me when you were gone?
Hell yeah. I missed because I went down to Orlando, Florida, and you stayed here in Central Virginia, and there was a snowstorm. Like I extended my stay one day so I wouldn't drive in a blizzard. I miss, after a couple of days, it's me kind of running around the hotel doing adventures and stuff, but it's like, oh, I want to go for a walk with Lauren. Or it's like, oh, I want to run into Lauren at the pool. It's like, oh, what's Lauren want to do for dinner? And so there's 1 or 2 days where it's like, yeah, adventure time,
Yeah.
I'm on my own. But then it's like, brr, 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 brr. And yeah, do I like having sex? I do. I like having sex a lot. So I miss the touches. Yeah, that's what I really miss. I start missing touch.
Yes.
Because I take it for granted of like how much touch I get. And as soon as I got home, I started noticing like I wanted to like touch you a bunch and how much we like touch each other.
Yeah.
Because I'm your grounding mat or rod. What'd you say?
I think I say grounding rod. Isn't that a thing?
Yeah, totally.
Okay.
You are my like plug in, like charge my battery.
Yeah.
So you are my Energizer bunny, Playboy bunny. And yeah, I just miss, looking at your fat ass.
Don't get distracted. I think there's a lot to that. I think that we do touch a lot. And it's funny because some study just came out that said like affectionate touch can actually diminish the amount of sexual touch that one has in their relationship. And I need to read this study because it was like, not in my house. Like, we're both such physical touch people.
That is interesting. Just like from hearing the title, it's like give each other the space to have really erotic sex by not touching. Because the first thing I say is like, honey, we can't have sex after this.
Yeah. We still, yes, thank you. Now
We can't make out after this. Baby, we can't make out after this.
Y'all,
I'm really busy.
It's like,
it's
like magic.
Yeah, I have a really busy schedule after this. We can't make out. And there it is. And, it's pussy getting wet talk. Edit that out.
Let's remind the audience there are 4 cornerstones of eroticism. The first is longing and anticipation, which is exactly what distance does. It adds in longing. Number 2, we have violating prohibitions, anything that's a little bit naughty. And whenever Trey and I stay in a resort, that's a bit of it too, is that it's really fun to, sneak a kiss in a hidden space.
Hotel sex is sweet.
It's better. Number 3 is search for power, this kind of power play dynamic, power over, power under, anything, even knowing the power your body has over somebody else, fun. And then number 4 is overcoming ambivalence, which is very weird to lots of people, but Trey just gave you an example, which is this idea of, no, I don't really have time for that. And many of us had our primary sexual awakening seasons kind of in seasons in which we couldn't really have the thing we were desiring. There was a touch of ambivalence towards the other. And it's a big one for me. It's a very big one for me. So yeah, I like it when it's play that we do. Trey is anything but ambivalent towards me. And I think this is where Jack Moran's research is just endlessly fascinating to me, because what turns us on erotically does not make for great and healthy partnerships. No, it is not a great recipe to be ambivalent towards your partner in actuality.
Yeah, you don't use fireworks to cook with.
Yes. Oh, that's beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So these things, creating distance between you and your partner in actuality, relationally, not good. No, we had a few FaceTimes, we checked in, we had some logistics to work on. Yeah. You don't keep me at an arm's length all the time.
No.
No. That is, I need everyone to hear, yes, it is fun to create separation, even if it's in separate spaces in the house, even if it's going to a date in separate cars. There are ways to create this longing and anticipation in healthy ways that just are like, oh, we could do that?
It's little sprinkles.
Yeah.
It's little sprinkles.
That's all.
It's not the whole meal. It's like the sprinkle of like, I don't know, garlic salt or something.
Yeah.
It's truffle butter.
And there are ways to do it in the thing that I had just wanted to say at the top of this podcast was we got to feel it again in actuality and it works. The science is true. The way it works in our brains absolutely helps stimulate arousal and desire. That's all.
Yeah, the other side of the spectrum is like being a cold dick. No.
No,
Not cool.
right? Like, no. And I think that's why, though, so many people find their best sex happens in unhealthy relationships. It's because the 4 cornerstones are usually present in
Sure.
some way or another.
And then is that like eventually the only thing that turns you on, and then you need like more of it, or you need a heightened version of it?
Jack Moran calls them troublesome turn-ons. When all of a sudden we're like, oh, I don't like that this is the only thing that turns me on.
It's a drug. It eventually becomes like a drug.
But what's so cool as human beings is that we can rewire. We can rewire. Everybody's watching you
hard.
in real time rewire. It is hard.
It takes a lot of work, and it's not fun.
Well, I was going to say pleasure is the greatest antidote to pain, though. I would argue that rewiring our sexual scripts is actually more fun than rewiring of other things.
I would argue that the crux or the crutch of more is the route most likely traveled, where it's more of it versus like I need to go inside and rewire.
Yes. Yeah. Because usually we are like reward-seeking creatures too. And so if there's some type of reward at the end that we do get sometimes or most of the time, and somebody says, ooh, that's an unhealthy pattern, you should change that, there's not a lot of motivation.
We're easily distracted now too, and it's easy to distract ourselves.
Yep.
Yeah.
But I have clients doing the work. Shout
Fuck
out
yeah.
to each of you. Yeah.
Go to Sex Ed for You /
You can do it.
Lauren, and you can do a 15-minute consult for free.
Hundreds of
For the free.
episodes.
Excuse me. So you're basically on scholarship if you don't look at them. Look at me. You're on scholarship for that 15 minutes.
50 minutes.
You don't get not a minute more.
You do get
That's
minutes
when
more.
I kick the door in.
Trey's like, I can tell.
I'll stop there. I was going to say I'm outside of the door
No.
with my ear on it, but I'm not. That's not cool. That's just jokes, people. Just jokes.
Jokes.
Edit that out.
Everything is so confidential.
Edit that out.
It's so funny. My sister referred somebody the other day, and she was like, yeah, you 100% should do a 15-minute consult with her. This is exactly what you're looking for. The woman was like, oh my goodness, this sounds amazing. And my sister goes, just so you know, like this is the last time I'll ever know about anything you do with her. And the woman was like, what? And she goes, yeah, if you book a consult, I won't even know that. My sister tells me nothing.
Yeah,
And I was like,
you're legally required not to.
And it's just so funny because my sister's friends who book with me will say something like, it's almost as if they forget and they assume my sister knows. And I'm like, no, I do not talk with my sister
You can't.
about your work.
Not cool.
But I think, and my clients would say this, that our work does feel so deeply relational too, that we can forget that because there's such a deep connection that happens on screen or in person. But no, Trey knows nothing. No one knows nothing. And it's a funny thing here in a small town like ours, because on any given day, I'm with multiple clients in a public space. But no, nobody knows.
Great.
Nobody knows. I'd love to work with you. The real website is sexedforyou.com/free consult. Back to regular schedule.
/ Lauren.
No, that would be so weird. All right. I wanted to talk about how before you went away, we were in the thralls of an intimate moment.
We're having sex in our bedroom.
And then we heard a strange sound and we turned our heads towards my side of the bed, wherein we saw the form of my 14-year-old child.
Standing over our bed.
Standing inches away from us. I'm still traumatized.
I was deep inside of her mother. Disgusting. It was like quiet sex, and we had closed the door, and we had thought we'd closed the door all the way.
We had closed the door all the way.
She opened it?
Yes.
Jesus Christ.
It was like a series of unfortunate events. All
and
these
we
little things
were
happened.
whispering the dirtiest things to each other.
Oh my. This is why we didn't hear upon entry.
Mm-hmm.
Is that
we were consumed with passion.
Our faces were like side
right
by
next
side,
to each other,
and we were like turning and whispering in each other's ear.
Take it away, honey. Take it away.
No.
I gotta keep going, babe. Jesus.
I just
Keep going.
No.
Keep going. I'm not editing any of this out.
Oh my goodness.
It's a dog and pony show.
This is life. We did more branding photos yesterday, y'all. We're like dismantling the best part of the story, but I'm just, while Trey pours his coffee. And she was asking me something about, yeah, do we want him to wear something nicer? Or what was the feel? And I was like, the feel of the branding photos? Casual. Casual. You can take it
You
all.
good?
Yeah, I'll make more. You have to get on the road. You take your coffee.
I gotta take your car too. I don't have a car. I don't have a job.
You're just
I was taking a
pouring
nap at
coffee.
3:00. Lauren was getting ready.
Life out of me.
I was like, babe, you're doing great. Love you so much.
Okay, so back to the story. We are whispering into each other's ears.
Dirty
Dirty
shit.
Dirty things. And that was fun because we were whispering so quietly. I will say this. This is so lovely. It was freezing cold this night. And so we had covers all the way over us.
Not in our bedroom.
We had covers all the way over us. Like nothing was exposed at all, thank God. Well, first of all, I don't think she would have made it that far. And this was not a lot of movement because we were whispering stories, but Trey was 100% full on top of me. And then all we hear is, and she does this nightly. This is not a weird thing because she puts herself to bed because she's a projector too. So she was ready to go to bed. And so we hear, good night, mama. And both of our heads snap to the side. And then she just goes, ew, are you two being freaky? This is her new word.
She's 14.
She's 14. We call her the baby. She is a 14-year-old human. And what did you say immediately in that moment? Do you remember? I know we're getting to, obviously.
I went to, what did I go to? Fawning? Or what did I, freeze?
Fight.
Terror?
Blame. You just
No, when I was talking to the kid. We'll get to that part.
Oh. To the... Yeah, what did you say? You said something really silly. Oh.
Yeah, I said something. It was...
Oh, hi, Beatrice, or something. You said like...
It,
you did. Your voice went up into like a falsetto, and you were like, "Hi, Beatrice. Good night."
Yeah.
Sorry, I said her name. Yeah, you were like, "Good night" to the baby, and that's when it was your tone that made her go, "Ew, are y'all being freaky?" And then she just left the room.
Yep.
And we just lay there.
Yep.
And then what happened? Take the audience through. This is your confessional moment. Listen, I have to confess on this podcast all the time.
I was like, babe, did you not close the door? Why didn't you close the door? Honey, why was the door open? I completely blamed, 100% blamed Lauren for what had just happened. Instead of like giggling and like, holy shit, I just went to like, and then Lauren, she got up and she goes, I'm going to like check on her. I'm feeling like I did something really, really wrong. She went in, she literally asked Beatrice, hey, was the door open or closed? And Beatrice, shit, I'm saying it too. She asked the baby, hey, was the door open or closed? And the baby was like, no, it was closed. And she's like, can we knock next time we go into rooms? And
the baby's like, yeah. The baby was ewed, grossed out. But again, there was no body scene at all. It was pitch black in our room.
The person that cared the most was me. I was the one who made it a big deal. So what I did is I blamed Lauren for it, which isn't cool. And Lauren came back in the room, and what did I do?
Blamed again at first. But then I said... yeah, I'm feeling blamed. Mm-hmm. Like this is my fault, and I can feel my body going to all the things like from childhood when I would get blamed for things. Yeah, so we kind of sat with it for a minute. It was wild. And then you just immediately took ownership for it. Just immediately. We just sat there in our own feelings, and people are entitled to their own feelings when a teenager walks in on them, like no matter how many covers are over them. And both of our nervous systems had been triggered. And yeah, then you just said, hey, that's not cool.
From what I remember, as soon as you left the room and I heard, I was like, oh, I shouldn't have done that. So as soon as you came back in the room, from what I remember, am I calling you a liar right now? Yeah.
100%.
Yes, 100%. Never. Anyway, so yeah, I was like, holy shit, why did I do that? And now it's time to take ownership. So Lauren doesn't have to go through these cycles of kind of bringing her back to childhood trauma, bringing her back to when her parents were assholes to her. So yeah, I'm so sorry, honey.
What I really respected and was thankful for is that you said, I'm so sorry, I should not have done that. And I said, thank you for taking accountability. I also need to just take care of myself right now. Like, you did do that. And so I think we often equate forgiveness with instant reconciliation. Oh, because then we had this juicy conversation about when I left my family of origin and went into my first marriage, when my first husband would harm me through his alcoholism or through something like this, then he would make me feel that I needed to take care of him after he apologized. I'm so sorry. I just can't believe I did that. I am such a horrible person, which leads the
we had this
person who
conversation
has
in the morning, right?
I think we had it that night.
Okay.
The person who, oh no, you're right. We did have it in the morning because you came back in and you were like, again, I'm so sorry, yada, yada. And that's when I said, oh, I don't like this. I was so proud of myself for having these words. I don't think we've actually had an instance to re-pattern this. So this was really cool. But I said, I don't want to feel that I have to take care of you. It's not okay. That I will not accept that, nor should you ever. And good people do bad things. And they can take accountability for it. And they can change their actions and not do it again. But to become this victim in the narrative that then the person who has been harmed has to care for, not okay with me. And you heard me, and it was like really clear. I could tell like you heard me. You were like, oh yeah, that's like adding, what do they call it, harm to injury? It's like heaping more and more harm on. And yeah, you were like, heard. And so yeah, you gave me this huge hug in bed, and I think we cuddled, and it really moved through. But that night, we did go to bed, me saying, yeah, thank you for the apology. Yeah, I need like some space now. You're welcome to like touch me and put your hand on my back, but that didn't feel good. And you knew it, and you had taken accountability, and yeah, it was fine. I think I checked in with the baby one more time to be like, anything you want to ask, anything, questions that you have. And she was like, no, I need to knock. And we said, I mean, privacy is something we are all entitled to in this home. We always knock. We always knock before we go into her room. She always knocks before she comes into our room. It was just, she said I was tired. I just like, I thought you guys were asleep. And she's like, my bad.
Yeah, the only person that took it to another level was me. And then I was like, why did I do that? Like, why did I? It's not a big deal. It was like a 2 or a 3. It was shocking.
Totally.
It was completely shocking. And it caught me off guard, but it doesn't mean that I get to kind of go around and play the blame game. So, yeah, it's something I wanted to own, and that's my bad. I'm sorry about that. I don't want to repeat that.
We did talk about it all together as a family, too, with the baby. Yeah, because I think we brought it up just with all of us, that same type of thing. Oh, because she came in the next night. It was like, y'all planning to do the same thing again tonight?
Yeah. She's got jokes now. She's got jokes about her.
This is what I want to spend the rest of the episode talking about, is trying to find time to be intimate with teenagers in the house, because it's a hilarious thing.
What do we got on the old clockaroo?
Let me change it.
Oh, thanks, babe.
Yeah, it came up so naturally in conversation, because she said, y'all planning on getting freaky again? And we laughed. I know it's taking a mind of its own.
How's that? Yeah, great. Love it.
That's what your ears is. And then, yeah, I was like, yeah, is there anything we need to, talk about? Any questions you have? And yeah, then we're just so open and transparent in this house, because I think kids learn really well through experiencing life. And so we talked about it. I was like, Trey, do you want to talk about kind of what happened in your body after it and what we've been working through today? And you totally took accountability. You said, this is what happened. I blamed your mother. And the baby got to be like, oh, no, I should have not, like it just, everybody got to take ownership for what was theirs to take ownership for, which I find so fascinating because the reasons we have created adaptive behaviors in our bodies is usually because of lived experiences in childhood. And so it's just really cool to see in real time a 14-year-old go, oh, this was that person's to own. This was that person's to own. This was mine to own. Oh, cool. Right? Not having to put all of these pieces together in their head is a wild thing. We had to do so much of that. We had to go, oh, I know how to make everybody more comfortable. I know how to make this right. And yeah, it's just really cool. She's not having to do that quite as much. We still fuck up all the time. So I wanted to talk about, because, okay, so on my Instagram the other day, I was asking when people with tiny babies find time to be intimate, how literally they logistically do this if people are working, and how do they take care of a baby under 2, work, take care of a house, and find time to be intimate. Because I have some clients right now who were like, could you just ask? I don't know when people are finding this time. And I was like, great question. So I did. But then I had a lot of people write in, could you ask this same question for parents of teenagers? Because they said, I found it easier to put my baby to bed as a 2-year-old in their crib, say goodnight at 7:30 p.m., and then have dinner with my spouse or watch a sexy show or watch some ethical feminist porn and then have some sexy time. There was no 2-year-old hearing through the wall or walking into the room. Mm-hmm. And I laughed in my head because this story had just happened with us. So yeah, what is it like trying to find time and space when teenagers know what we're doing in this house, right? Like this is not, you can't hide it from a teen.
Okay, yeah.
And is that weird?
No, like why try to? That's my question.
Okay.
Is that a valid question? It's like, why try to? And I understand it's uncomfortable to be like, yeah, mom and dad are like, dad and boyfriend or girlfriend or whatever, whatever orientation. Yeah, we're going to go have sex. It's maybe don't say it that way. We use a code word. You know our code word, honey?
No.
Take a rest.
I forgot about that.
Yeah. Take a nap is actually nap, but take a rest.
Trey will ask me sometimes.
It's very restful.
Do you need a rest?
Yeah, do you need a rest?
Do you need a rest?
So it's like, we're going to go take a rest. We've said that before to the baby. We're going to take a rest. She's like, all right. Mm-hmm. Then we go into our room and then we lock the door.
Yes, there's usually locking. Mm-hmm. You better believe there's been locking.
Because it's so funny because I never remember that the door's locked. So it's me going like, why isn't the door opening after we're done with our business? Then it's like, fuck, everybody knows. They're not going to know. They're going to know.
Yeah. I don't think we try to hide it. I think, so interestingly
we don't celebrate it. But...
No, there's a difference between secrecy and privacy.
Yeah.
Okay. Sexual intimacy between consenting adults in a home can be a private thing. Children, teens don't need to know what's going on behind the doors, but they can know and respect your privacy. Is it embarrassing? Yes. This one person who wrote in was like, their bedroom is on the other side of the wall in our bedroom. Mm-hmm. Yes. There's a lot of trying to keep
have some quiet sex.
The bedroom squeaking. Yeah. Which adds an element of violating prohibitions.
Mm-hmm. It's like, we got to fuck on the floor.
Yeah,
which the bed's too squeaky.
It's just fun.
It's hot. Until your knees start hurting.
Yeah. Let's also think that people who are parents of teens were also older. So it's like the bed's most comfy. I want to be in my bed.
Yeah. I want sleepy side sex.
Yeah. It is. It's funny. It's a challenge for sure. And I think that we need to remember that developmentally, it is really, really good for teens to know that their caretakers have an active and healthy sexual practice that is definitely private, but it actually gives them a greater sense of security. It actually, science shows that it causes them to delay their own first intercourse Because they're like, oh, no. I'm like, no, my parents do that. Like, this is not a thing that is super unknown in their world. They are in a space where loving relationships involve healthy sex. This is actually really good for teenagers to note, especially if the caretakers are doing the work to love one another relationally too. They are seeing, oh, all of these things can coexist. I think 80% of my clients, when I ask about their families of origins, tell me my parents never touched. I never saw my parents touch. 80%. I will have to go back and ask about it. And I always do. What experience did you have of your parents' relationship? Did you see romance? Did you see touch? What did you see? What didn't you see? And yeah, 80% tell me I never saw them touch.
In 2025, what is the justification for not talking about sex with your kids?
Somebody's discomfort.
Like an adult's discomfort?
Surrounding.
Like a leader's, right?
Surrounding their own lack of education. They don't know what they'd say. Go to sexedforyou.com/free consult. I love working with parents to develop tools for continual conversations. This is not just a one-time conversation. I think that's also what's so neat about this house in which we live is that sex is the language of the body oriented towards pleasure. Sex is not just this penetration in a vagina. And we are always talking about sensuality, intimacy, orientation, so many things in this house that are developmentally appropriate for the 14-year-old. So it's not like it was even embarrassing for her to come in the next night and be like, y'all gonna get freaky again tonight. Like, that's such a normal thing for her to say because it's such a normal expectation she has of us to be loving, intimate adults.
I think I countered with like, yes, we are. Or like, yes, I'm going to pleasure your mother. Because it's like, hey, if you ask, I'll answer.
Oh, and I always say that. She'll say to me, did you guys, on a Sunday morning, often the door is locked. And she'll say, did you guys just have sex? And I will turn to her and I will say, do you really want to know? And sometimes she'll say, yeah. And I'll say, yes, we did.
My mom hit me with that question one time.
Oh, do you really want to know?
Where she's like, do you really want to know about my sex life? She hit me with that, I think, when I was, developing. Maybe around a teenager. Remember that.
Did it just come back?
Yeah. And then I didn't ask anymore because I didn't want to know. It wasn't a bad thing.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
she hit me with that. It wasn't a bad thing.
To differentiate from parent, very healthy, right? This keeps from incest. When kids are grossed out with the ew factor, very healthy, very healthy. So also don't feel bad, parents out there in our audience, if your kids get skeeved out by it. That is a healthy thing that is biologically in their body to go, ew, when a parent talks about it. Doesn't mean we should stop talking about it. Doesn't mean we should stop having conversations about it. Just means that they are biologically healthy creatures. So yeah, sometimes she'll say, and I'm like, yeah, we did. And she's like, okay, gross. Perfectly normal. Great. There are no details being discussed. No. We'll talk about that in completely other times when she stumbles into my office and picks a book off the shelf, flips through it and goes, who would want to do that? And then we'll talk about who would want to do that.
Lots of folks.
Lots of folks. But yeah, it is tricky. I just like taking the angle of
Most people.
Most humans love the sex. Most humans love sexual play. Yeah. I think it's a fun challenge. It is definitely, because she was with us for a very long time. Yeah, in full transparency. She is also 40% of the time with her father. So Trey and I get a break sometimes, which is very lovely. And I acknowledge that everybody doesn't get that.
Yeah, for all of you people that aren't divorced, what are you doing?
No. You know what, though? That does make me think that it is always a great idea to capitalize on times when they're at friends' houses or times when they're at an after-school activity or, Like, I would say, talk with your other friends and schedule times for them to go hang out at one another's houses.
So you can make the opportunity for really hot sex
Schedule
to happen.
it,
Yeah.
right? Schedule opportunities.
The opportunity for really hot sex to happen. Shit happens. Like, things come up. So not scheduling the expectation of sex. I learned this from my wife. This one, my first wife. Schedule the opportunity, not the expectation. You can use that, baby. Use that phrase.
That's really good, honey. I just say schedule spaces to play, but
use mine instead.
Yours is good.
It's for you.
I share things that you've said, and people are like, "Wow, that's really wise." And I say, I have to give credit to Trey.
Oh,
I do.
Thanks, babe.
I do. You're so wise.
Thank you.
So wise. And you have like a perfect marriage score. So really, you're more.
I have a perfect marriage credit score. I was thinking about that. Why don't they make people include their credit scores on job applications? It's like, oh yeah, this person's responsible. Criminal record too. Criminal record's good also. No DUIs.
Yeah, the scheduling is so reminiscent of when we used to schedule dates.
Mm-hmm.
And that's good.
Mm-hmm.
We always used to get excited for a date. We didn't know, like, what the other person, had gone through that week. We didn't know things. Why are you making that turned on face?
Please continue.
And so remember those, the lovely jitters and little butterflies you used to get anticipating this date with this unknown person and what was going to happen. You didn't know.
Oh, first date you're really excited about? Yeah.
Yes. And like,
Great
you were
feeling.
like, maybe I'll have sex tonight. Maybe I won't, right? You'd get STI screened. You'd like pack some condoms. You'd think about what could go down, but you knew that, yeah, it might not happen.
Love it.
And that's great. That is a perfect presentation to go into, a midday on the weekend scheduled opportunity to play when you've dropped your teenagers off at the barn where they work, right? Go have a little, what?
The barn where they work, honey?
Yeah, because they like work with horses or something. I have lots of clients whose teens have horses.
Okay, yeah, it just broke my brain.
Why?
Because they work at a barn.
You grew up in California, obviously. Here in
Skateboard shop.
Virginia.
The skateboard shop that they work.
shop. Work. All of my friends worked at the barn on Saturday growing up.
All of them, honey? Fuck, I'm sorry.
Most, except my gay theater friends.
Except for the gays,
we'd get
honey? They're not
dropped
allowed
off
in the
at the
barns?
theater. Drop
Oh,
your
fuck.
children off at the theater. Oh my God.
Except if you're homosexual, you can't go into the barn. I'm sorry. It just broke my brain. Get him out. Get him back to the theater.
What would be better for Trey? Oh, okay. Like football practice. Drop your teens off at football practice. Drop your teens off
They'll
at the
make the
skateboard
horses
shop.
gay.
Drop your teen off.
All of my friends work at the barn.
My best friends worked in the barn because
All of my. You said all. I'm sorry. I'll stop. I'm done.
you're not getting any sex ever again.
Okay, back to generalizations, huh?
Never again.
See, that doesn't turn me on. It goes to, oh, we'll see about that. That's what my mind goes to. It's like, oh, big talker.
Yeah, it's not
big
one
talker
of Trey's.
she is.
Not one of Trey's. Then, after you dropped your kids off at their activity of choice, it is okay to have some fun date planned that possibly could lead to sex midday with teenagers. It is also okay to say, hello, children, we're going to go take a rest and lock that bedroom door and be as quiet as you can and know that your kids are on the other side. Trey's just still thinking about the barn.
E-I-E-I-O.
I'm going to take Trey to a functioning horse barn
Where
at
all
some
of her,
point this weekend.
this is the
Yes.
barn where all of my friends worked when they were
Listen,
kids.
if your teens or if you worked at a functioning barn to earn lessons, to earn discounts, could you please drop a comment? Why does Trey think this is not a thing? You had no friends who worked at the barn to supplement the costs for like horseback riding or so that their horse could board there?
I grew up in Los Alamitos,
You have no
California.
reference of this.
I grew up in... No.
No. Okay. Well, wait till you are schooled. Just wait.
Okay, educate me
I will.
on
Then I'll-
barn work.
I'll ride you like a horse.
Thanks for coming to this week's episode of the Partnership Podcast with Lauren and Trey.
Don't know if it was helpful at all.
If
and I'm
you
glad you were here.
if you have any questions about my intrepid wife, especially about part-time work, please go to sexedforyou/free consult /free consult to book a 15-minute absolutely free, no obligation intake where you
No,
can
not an intake.
meet
Me?
the Lauren.
Talk to the camera.
We just wanted to give a shout out to
The barn people.
thanks again for coming to this. We love you. We love you. Goodbye.
Remember that these are our opinions and our opinions only. You have a right to self-determination. Take what you like, leave the rest. This is obviously just a fun time. This is not too serious.
It's a fast and a loose podcast.
It is. Go to sexedforyou.com/free consult. In all truthfulness, I'd love to talk to you about any of these things we discussed today, except the ins and outs of working at a barn. Because
If you're straight, only if you're straight though. Because if
I
you're not,
didn't actually work there.
if you're not, according to Lauren, you
was
got to
in
go
the
to theater
theater.
practice, right?
I think
That's
that
it. That's
when we
it.
hear it, that's what I'm gonna say. Bye.
I needed that.
Oh my God.